Today, I'm sitting with Daniel. Daniel, what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
What do I do on the day-to-day? I do readings for people. Uh, watch Netflix. Lately, I've been working on my autobiography.
Hmm.
Um, Other than that, if it's a beautiful day outside, I'll go out and ride my motorcycle.
Okay.
Not much else than that.
Um, what kind of readings do you do?
I do. I'm what you would refer to as a spirit medium.
Hmm.
I don't call myself psychic because when you say the word psychic, you have a lot of people come up to you and say, "What am I thinking?" That type of thing. And
Yeah.
although I do get psychic messages, but I usually don't get them until someone has the intention to actually have a reading with me.
Hmm.
I do get some other messages being around people that other spirit want me to tell them. And sometimes I have to think about if I'm actually going to tell that person. Reason being is because you don't always necessarily know how they are going to take it, especially pertaining to their religious background or their belief system.
Hmm.
So what I will do is at that moment, I will ask my spirit guides if it is okay to walk up to that person, and they will let me know if it is. So,
Hmm.
and then if it is, I will do that. Um, but yes, I do readings for people. People come to me for answers. The way that it works for me is everyone has spirit guides in this world to help you throughout your life, to help you make decisions. My spirit guides happen to be what we would refer to as archangels. They do not look like men with wings because they are not men with wings, nor do they have a shield and a sword. It's not what they are about because that's all complete and total bullshit. Um, but what they do for me and what they do for everyone else is try to help us get through our lives the easiest way we can without any issues or any problems.
Hmm.
What causes issues and problems? We do. We cause our own issues. We cause our own problems. As I tell people all the time, we create our own storms, but then we cry when it rains all the time. Meaning, we cause our own drama, and then we cry and moan all the time because more drama is coming on us. Well, if you're creating it, it's happening to you, and that's why. But yes, they come to me for answers. I talk to my spirit guides. I can ask them any question that I need to for anyone else. Reason being is because my original ability that they gave me, I don't call it a gift, is I cross spirit over into the light. And because I do that, when I'm doing that, spirit wants to ask questions. I have to be able to have the answers for them. So my archangels provide those answers, and because they provide those answers to them for me, then or actually for me for them, then since I can do that, I can ask any question for any person, uh, and I will get the answer for them.
Wow, that's a lot. That's fascinating.
It is a lot. there's actually a, there's actually a lot more that goes with it,
Hmm.
and that's part of my role here. Is what I do with that is I teach people about that. I teach people why we are here and what our purpose is. I teach them about the myths and the misconceptions of everything that TV and movies have destroyed for people like myself. Um, and I teach them about the untruths of of religion and the Bible and all that mess. Because yeah, that's all bullshit also. So
Hmm. How how come what do you think the reason why there's so much bullshit in the world that people follow and believe in? Where did this come from?
it came from those who are in control and were in power of everyone long time ago. Those were the same people who wrote the Bible. Those are the ones who want to be in control of everyone in the world. because it makes them money. It is of power. It is of greed. It is of control. Uh, it is their way. It always has been that way. Those people who created these books and these rules were the kings and queens of the world,
Mhm.
and this is their way of uh, of making sure that they remain in control, in power of everyone and everything, because they just feel that they need to. Unfortunately for us, we have relinquished that power over to them and have not been able to get it back.
Mhm. Totally. Let's go let's go back. Let's figure out, like, let's hear when you started all this. What was your childhood like? What was your first memory?
When I was a kid, 3, 4 years old, my parents and I, and my mom and dad and I, my two brothers and my sister, we grew up in New Jersey, right next to the Delaware River.
Mhm.
In that town was a small battlefield where the Hessians fought, and there was a small hospital on that grounds. The houses within the area of that battlefield, by talking to our neighbors and my friends in that neighborhood, they were all seeing spirit, and seeing them all the time, to the point where, like, when my sister was getting ready for school one morning and my mom was helping her, and they were standing in front of a full-length mirror in the bathroom, and when they looked into the mirror, there was another woman standing there in a colonial outfit. Um, my back my This was back in the 70s. My sister had a record player, and back then, with a record player, you would have to lift it up and then put the record on, and then hit the switch. It would drop the record down and then play the record. And both my brothers and I would be downstairs watching TV, and then the record player would turn on. But the strange part about it was it would switch records,
Mhm.
meaning whatever was in the room was picking records up off the record player and then putting another one on and playing another record. Sometimes there would be glasses that would move from out of nowhere, or ashtrays. Um, I remember once, when later on in life, when my mom and dad and I moved out of that house to Delaware, my brother bought the house, and he had some friends come over to the house. And now out in front of the house was a big picture window, and the friends came over. They were knocking on the door, waiting for my brother to answer the door. They kept looking in the window, and they saw people walking around the house. And then they called my brother and said, "When are you going to come to the door? We're standing here at the door." And my brother said, "We're not home. We're on a camping trip."
Okay.
So
Wow.
who was it that was walking around the house?
Yeah.
So yeah, after that, like I said, my mom and dad and I, we moved down here to Delaware, and they were no longer seeing anything, but I was continuing to see things all the time.
Mhm.
I used to play in a band back in the 80s. I had the big hair and the zebra stripe spandex to prove it. And I came home from a gig, and I laid down in bed. And when I did, something laid down next to me, and it happened 3 or 4 times in a row. And that fifth time, when I got up to really take a look what it was, whatever it was, it picked up the blanket that I had on top of me, and it brought it up to the ceiling, and then it shook it over top of me, and then it dropped it on me. And then after that, for 2 years, I slept on the couch downstairs. Um, I was in my other bedroom at this point. A couple years later, I mean, I was always seeing things, but you just get used to it after a while. And then in
Yeah.
this one bedroom, my girlfriend and I were watching TV. She was down at the foot of the bed. I was at the other end of the bed by the headboard, watching Rocky Horror Picture Show. And then
Mhm.
something about maybe 2.5, 3 feet thick and 4 feet long. It was thick and white, like a really thick cloud, snaked its way out of the closet, came halfway across the room in front of the TV, and then it just disappeared. And my girlfriend turned around and said, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yes, I did. I think we need to get the heck out of here."
Right.
Uh, I was in my grandfather's room because my grandfather was staying with us at the time, and my grandmother had passed away, and he went to visit my uncle. And while he was visiting, I was in his room looking at pictures of my grandmother and just hanging out in there. I fell asleep, and then I kept hearing this squeaky noise. I kept getting up, looking, nothing was there. And then I finally looked up one time, and when I did, the squeaking noise was hit the rocking chair in his room was rocking back and forth, and my grandmother was in it. And she turned and looked at me, and then when I looked at her, she just had this look of surprise on her face, and then she just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was always constantly seeing things at that home. I eventually met someone, moved in her home with her, got married, was always seeing things at that home. Uh, there was a time when I had to have a surgery on my foot, and I had to have this cast on, so this big Frankenstein boot. We went to the mall, and I told her, I said, look, I have to go to the bathroom, but let's go. So I walk over, we go to the bathroom. She's standing outside, she's waiting for me. I go into the bathroom, I'm doing my business, and all of a sudden I hear a voice come through in the whole bathroom. It says, "It'll be okay, my son, don't worry." And I was like, what? I stood up and looked outside of the stall. There's nobody there. I finished up. I went out of the bathroom. My wife was standing there, and I asked her, "Did anybody just come into the bathroom?" And she said, "No." I said, "Did anybody leave the bathroom?" And she said, "No."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, somebody just spoke to me in the bathroom, and I heard it plain as day." There was one time um, we had separated, and I was on my motorcycle riding home from work, and that same thing happened. I was riding down the street on my bike. I had my headphones in, listening to music, and the music through my M3P player just kind of slowed down. Just heard this, it slowed down, and then I heard a voice come through and said, "Everything is going to be okay, my son." And all of a sudden, it turned back on. I pulled over to the side of the road. I was like, "What the hell just happened there?"
Yeah, straight up.
It was it was pretty crazy. And all this stuff just kept going on and on and on,
Yeah.
all the way up right till my 50th birthday, which was almost 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I was with my now new wife. We've been married for about 6 years now. There'll be 7 years in a couple of weeks. And so we were together, and right before my 50th birthday, she went away on vacation. Um, and she had known about some of these stories I told her, but she went away on vacation to see her daughter in California. And when she went away, I saw everything imaginable that you could ever think of that was scary,
Mm-hmm.
especially me being brought up Catholic. These things were what I would call scary. I saw green and red mist pouring out of the walls.
Mm-hmm.
I saw skulls pouring out of the walls, and they all had red eyes and fangs. I saw these look like little figure beings, whatever they were, coming out of the walls and climbing up onto the bed. I saw 7-foot skeletons walking around my house. I had a uh, I had an occurrence of seeing what people call the Hat Man. He appeared in my basement. I was down in my basement getting my cat because he was downstairs, and he was on the couch. And I said, "Come on, buddy, it's time to go upstairs." He looked at me, and he looked to his right, and then I looked to my left. And when I did, a wall of blackness appeared in the middle of the floor. And then a man walked out of it. He had a big wide brim black hat and a long black coat. I couldn't see his eyes, but I could see his facial features of his chin and his nose. He stepped out of that wall and just walked all the way across the room. But the strange part about it is when he was walking in a perfect stride, he didn't have any feet. And he walked all the way across the room and went right through the wall, and that was it. And when he did, then I turned it back around. That wall of blackness closed right up, gone. Um, I saw a cloud of misty cloud come out of the corner of the bedroom. It came out gray, it came out blue, green, yellow, red, orange, black. And then it came out red with black stripes, blue with black stripes, yellow with black stripes, green with black stripes, orange with black stripes. Um, I was seeing everything and imagine, like I said, that you could ever
Mm-hmm.
uh, think was scary. So much so that when my wife returned home, she told me about her adventures, and I told her about mine. She, being a nurse, thought that because I'm diabetic and some of the medication I was taking, that maybe I was having some type of psychosis go on. Uh, but within about 3 days after her returning, she started seeing some of the same things in the house.
Mhm.
So at that point, I did everything that you would think to do. I went on the internet. I was looking to find some help. We were looking for, we were putting crosses up everywhere. We were putting salt all around the room on the floor. Um, all these things that you could find on internet pages and that people believe actually help. I was doing the sage and burning the sage around the house, and we were doing all that stuff. I even tried to get a priest to come to the house and do an exorcism or anything to bless the house, do something. They didn't want to do that. They don't do that anymore, they say. So I ended up having a paranormal group come to the house. And the only thing that bothered me about that is when they pulled up, they showed up in their little van with this insignia on the side of it. And the only thing I could think of was I didn't want to be this kind of famous because
Yeah.
my neighbors are going to think I have the Blair Witch Project going on in the house next door to them. Unknowingly to them, I do. And I still do to this day. I
Mhm.
just understand what it is now. So they came and they set up all their gear. One guy had a video camera. A girl was taking digital photos. Another guy was just observing, and the leader was just walking around asking questions. They took a bunch of digital photos of me walking around the house with the other members of the team. And each member of the team they took a picture of, there was nothing. But every time I was standing next to someone or they just took a picture of me, there was 15 to 20 light orbs completely surrounding me. They set up these boxes that had little wires on them and these little lights on it. And I said, "What's that about?" And he said, "Well, Spirit, they make static electricity." And I said, "How so?" And he said, "Well, I'll show you how these work." And he rubbed his hand on the couch and he put his hand over top of these little boxes and they all just lit up. And I said, "Okay, I see what you're saying." So he put them around the room. I put them in front of doorways, put 4 or 5 of them in front of this doorway, 4 or 5 in that doorway. And then they would ask, "Okay, where are you seeing most of the activity?" I said, "Well, a lot of it's in the bedroom." And he said, "Okay, let's go in there." And I walked in there, and as soon as I walked past, every one of those boxes lit up. They all just
Mhm.
lit up like crazy. And I turned around and stared at them, and they looked at me with their eyes and their mouths wide open. And I was like, "What is going on here?" And they're just looking at me. They walk through the door, and nothing happens. We stand in the bedroom. We talk about some things. They want to go in the closet because we have this big walk-in closet. They walk in. We're not even in there in a couple of minutes, and the cameraman says he's getting sick and he doesn't feel good. And he needs to leave that room. We leave out of that closet, and then he's okay. We go out of the bedroom. I walk out first. Every one of those things lights right back up again, and they're all standing there again, staring at me. Even my wife is there. She's like, they're trying to figure out what's going on. They walk
Yeah.
through again. They walk through and nothing. So we go around the house. I show them different things. They wanted to go down in the basement. We're standing in the basement, and I'm standing in there talking to one of the members. And then I turn to walk away, and he says, "Come back here, Mr. Jackson." I said, "Well, what's up?" He said, "I want you to stand right here again, right in front of this mirror," because I had this mirror on the floor. It was leaning up against the wall. And I said, "Go, okay, what's up?" And I stand in front of it, and he goes, "Just kind of turn your head around a little bit and look back." I said, "Okay." And I look back, and the mirror is just vibrating. When I walk away from it, it does nothing.
Mhm.
When I walk back in front of it, it starts vibrating again. We go into the back room. It's a completely dark room. There's no lights back there. They want to close the door and they want to just see what happens in there. So we do that. Then they ask, "Is there anybody here?" And then they get this in the room.
Mhm.
And they said, "Did anybody do that?" "No, I didn't do it." "Well, because you can't see anybody. The room's pitch
Yeah.
black." And then they said, "Let's try it again. Is there anybody here?" And again. And then right after that, what looks like a Christmas tree light bulb, a white light bulb, lights up on the floor. It just turns on, turns off.
Yeah.
And they ask, "Did anybody turn the light on?" No. Mr. Jackson, do you have any lights on the floor? Why would I have lights on the floor? It's a carpeted floor.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. So then I say, well, let's go upstairs. We go back upstairs and they want to try a little experiment. And I said, what do you want to do? And they said, well, since you have so much activity in the bedroom, let's go in there and I want you to act as though you're sleeping. And then we're going to come in with this box. It's a spirit box or ovulus, what they call it.
Uh-huh.
And that box works. They turn it on, and when energy goes into the box, it will spit out words. So I do that. I go in and lay down, get under the covers. They walk in. I hear them put the box down. And all of a sudden, as soon as they turn it on, it starts spitting out words. It says Helen, Wendy, Paul, Michael. One time it said the word road, like a street. It says road. And when it says that, a car went right past my
Mhm.
house. And I'm like, that was kind of crazy. But I'm
Mhm.
sitting there quiet. And then it says words like unique, special, light, energy. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And then I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden they start asking it questions. And the questions they asked lasted for 10 minutes. They asked a
Mhm.
question and it answered it. One of the questions they asked was, are you here to harm Daniel? And in that computer voice, it said, no, we are not here to harm Daniel. We love Daniel. We love his light. Daniel is the light. And I'm thinking, what the hell does it mean? Daniel is the light.
Mhm.
What's that supposed to mean? They go on with this conversation. They get done. They leave the room. I get up. I go out of the room. My wife is standing there, and they're all huddled up in this little huddle. And I said to my wife, "What are they doing?" She said, "I don't know, but they're just talking about something." They get done. They turn around, and I said, "Did you got all that correct?" Because I'm waiting for them to tell me something. They said, "Well, we got all that, Mr. Jackson, but there's the problem." And I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Well, whenever we use that spirit box, we can only get it to spit out words here and there
Mhm.
once in a while." I said, "Okay, what's the issue?" He says, "It never says sentences."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I mean, you got sentences. It went on for like 10 minutes. You got something, right?" And they said, "Yeah, but we're going to have to figure that out." I said, "Okay." And he said, "We're going to come back in a few weeks. We'll do a big reveal of everything. We'll let you know what's going on." I said, "Okay." 2 weeks goes by, 3 weeks goes by, 4, 5, 6 weeks goes by, nothing. I finally get a hold of them. And when I do, I said, "When are you coming back for the big reveal?" And he said, "We're not." And I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because I can't get the team together. After your house, they all quit." And I said, "What do you mean they quit?" He said, "They are afraid to come back into your house." I
Mhm.
said, "Well, can you at least come here and let me know?" He said, "I don't feel comfortable doing that, Mr. Jackson." And I said, that doesn't make sense. You're the professionals. This is what you do." He said, "Yeah, Mr. Jackson, but when we get information, it takes 10 or 15 houses to get that kind of information, not from one house."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay." He said, "Well," I said, "What do I do now?" He said, "I don't know what to tell you to do now." I said, "I can tell you what I think you guys should do. You should get out of this business because you're not helping anybody." So I ended up reaching out and finding 5 different mediums because that was the only thing I could ever think of past that.
Mhm.
And when I got a hold of them, I found none of them knew each other. Every one of them told me the same story about me. One in particular, basically spelling it out that I have an ability to see spirit, but I'm seeing so many spirit because spirit is coming to me.
Mhm.
They're not just in my house, they are with me everywhere I go. And I said, "Why am I seeing so many?" And she said, "Because when you walked into the room here, I went to a show that she was doing. She didn't know I was coming. I just showed up. And when she said, when I walked into the room, she could feel my energy. She said, it's the brightest energy she's ever seen from anybody. When spirit sees a person, they see your body frame and they also see a light within you. That is your soul.
Mhm.
When she closed her eyes, all she could see was light.
Mhm.
She said, and to spirit, to them, I look like a light bulb. That's all they see. They see a mass of light, and they don't even see the body, which explained a lot of things because I told her, well, I'm I feel like something's like poking and prodding me all the time. She said they're walking up to you and touching you because they don't know what you are. They
Mhm.
kind of understand, but they don't know what you are. And I said, what do you mean by that? And she said, spirits coming to you, Mr. Jackson, because they believe that you're the light into heaven.
Mhm.
And I said, okay. And I said, so what do I do with that? And she said, well, you have to make a decision. You have to either accept what you have going on, because I think they're testing you to see if what you're going to do next, or you're going to push it away. And I said, who am I supposed to talk to about that? She said, talk to the higher power, talk to the source, God, whichever one you want to call it. You need to have this talk because this is just gonna, they're trying to see what you're going to do next. I believe
Mhm.
it's a test. And I said, okay. So my wife and I went home, and we talked about it on the way home. And when we got there, I said, I because the woman said, I don't think you want this to go away, do you? And I said, no, I don't. I said, it's been part of my life, my entire life. I just, if I can help these spirit to keep coming to me, I'll do that. Or if I could just help regular people with it, I'll do that. I know I need to do something. She says, well, the reason why you know you need to do something is because your spirit guides are pushing you in that direction. And I said, okay, what are spirit guides? And then she explained that to me as well. And
Yeah.
then when she explained all this stuff, I said, okay. So I went home. We talked about it. I went into the bedroom and said, I'm going to do this. And I sat in a dark room and talked to God, because as anyone else can do, you can always talk to God anytime you want to. You don't need to go to a building with a bunch of other people who think they're actually talking to God when they're just trying to look better than the other person. So,
Yes.
because church, because it's all bullshit.
Mhm.
So, because it's all about trying to be the better Christian, is what it says. So, so I had to talk with him, and I walked out. Said to my wife, I just said, okay, I want to do this. Yes, this is what I want to do. And then right after that, the very next day, everything changed. And within a few weeks, all that scary stuff went away,
Mhm.
and everything was changing at that point. Now I see faces, and I see more faces in one day than any TV show is ever going to see in a year. It's like standing in a room with 1,000 people, except nobody leaves and more people just keep coming in.
Mhm.
But I don't just see people. I see dogs and cats and horses and cows and fish, and I see other beings from other worlds. To other people, they may look scary, but to me, I know it's just that's what they look like from wherever they come from.
Mhm.
That's all. I do also see what we call, you would think are demons and devils, but they are not. They're just negative energies. The reason they look like demons and devils to people is because we have been conditioned and brainwashed into thinking there are demons and devils. These energies are pure energy. They can manipulate themselves to look like anything they want to. They can read your mind, they can read your thoughts. And if you're thinking of a demon or a devil, he can make himself look like that, which in turn is going to scare the crap out of you, which in turn is going to put negative energy out, which in turn he needs to feed off of. And that's why they
Mhm.
do it. So
Oh,
they
that makes
are
sense. I
around
like
us.
that.
They are around us all the time, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. Wake up in the morning, shower and shave, do your daily routine, go to work, do your job, or maybe not do your job because people are lazy bastards. And then you come home and you have dinner and eat with your family and watch TV and go to bed and do it all over again. Spirit is around you 24/7. They're watching every waking moment you and every sleeping moment that you have. Do they care about what you do? No, they don't, because they don't have to do it anymore, but they're still just watching.
Mhm.
So I did so through after saying yes to all that, I have I got up with a group of people, a bunch of women who are all mediums as well. And within the first year of what they call going through a journey, I learned how to work this for me. It works differently for me than it works for everybody else, but this is just the way it works for me. I am now in communication with my spirit guides, uh, as I said, because they are archangels, because I cross spirit over into the light. And the reason I have them with me is because they protect me from all these negative energies. I can walk into any place in this world that is a so-called bad haunted house, and absolutely nothing can touch me.
Mhm.
because I'm crossing them over into the light. But what light am I crossing them over? Those spirit were absolutely correct when that woman told me that. They don't just believe I am the light into heaven. I am the light into heaven. The
Mhm.
light that shines to show spirit where they have to go has to be within a physical body, as my spirit guides, as archangels are telling me. Has to be in a physical body in order to do two things. One, to be here to shine all the time, and two, to physically cross those who are lost or those who have been confused and just don't know which way to go, or the ones who want to cross later on because they decided not to cross the first time. Because everyone who dies, when you do pass away, you're going to stand up out of your body. You're going to take a step to the left. You're going to look to the right. And that's the way that it happens, because that's just the way that it happens. And you'll see a light turn on, and that's your personal light that turns on for you. And you have a choice to make with using your free will to decide whether or not you're going to go in it. And you either go in it or you don't, and you remain here as an earthbound spirit. But if you don't go in it, that light will turn out. But there is one other light that is always constantly lit. It just happens to be in me this time. I didn't ask for it. I didn't choose it. It's just the soul, when the last body it was in, left
Mhm.
that body and came into mine, and I was born, because that's when your soul comes in. When you're born, it doesn't sit in your womb. It comes in when you are born, when you're coming out of the womb. Because if that soul sees that that body is not going to make it, if that body is not going to be able to function, it leaves. And then that body is not alive,
Mhm.
because that's the only reason why your body is alive. It has a soul in it. So, yes. So, do I go around bragging to everybody, "Hey, I'm the light into heaven"? No. I just accept what it is and what and
Mhm.
who I am. And then I just move forward and do what I can do to help those who are living and help those who are not get to where they need to be.
So when like in time, like why do you think reality is like that? Right?
In
Why
this
is
world,
there the spirit realm?
because we are here to learn lessons and fulfill
Mhm.
a purpose. We are here living a human experience, but in order for the soul to learn physical lessons, it must be within a physical body.
Yeah.
We are more or less here living one big giant God experiment. God wants us to learn how to do things, but in order to do those things, they can't just. It has to be a physical thing, and we are learning those lessons, because everything you do in your life is a lesson. It's not a good lesson or a bad lesson. If you pick up a towel and you put it down, it's a lesson. If you pick it up and drop it, it's just another lesson. The lesson is teaching you at that point, grip the towel a little bit more so you won't drop it the next time. Because the lesson is very simple. You can walk through a door and trip over a nail, and you can go get a hammer, bang that nail in, and now walk through that door freely. You just learned the
Mhm.
lesson. But some people don't learn lessons very well, and they continue to trip over that hammer 4 or 5 times. And as we know, that happens throughout our entire lives. Some people are good at learning lessons, and some people are just not. I know that for a fact because I worked in prison for 6 years. And believe me, those guys in there, they haven't learned a lesson. They have not figured out that they are not good criminals,
Mhm.
because they continue to trip over and over and over again.
Yeah. Um so let me ask you, why do you think you were chosen? You said that you didn't decide to, but maybe you did before you were born, right? So why do you think you were
Um,
chosen?
I do know that the when because when you come back into this world, anyone who comes back into this world, when you came back into this world, you always
Mhm.
come back into the same family circle all the time. So the soul was coming back into that same family circle all the time. I
Mhm.
do know that the soul that is in me now was in my grandfather previous to me. My grandfather wanted to know when I was going to be born. Okay. Now, granted, I have two brothers and a sister. Did he care much about them being born? I know, from what I understand, from what my mom and dad told me, he just said, "Oh, great, they're being born. That's great." But when he wanted to know when I was going to be born. Why?
Mhm.
He knew, because he had that ability as well. So
Mhm.
when I was being born, he asked my dad to give him a call to let him know so he'd come to the hospital as quick as he can. And he waited around. And my dad called him up and said, "Hey, you got to come to the hospital. He's being born." He got ready to come to the hospital. He had a heart attack and died right there on the spot.
Wow.
And his soul left the body and came into mine. And then I was born. That's it. Why is it in me, or was it why was it in my grandfather? To tell you the truth, I can't answer that,
Mhm.
because the only answer I have for that is the soul has to keep coming back over and over and over again to be the light to shine, to show
Mhm.
where spirit is. So it stays here constantly. It has never, it came here from the beginning and has never returned home. As whereas when you pass away, you will either cross over into the light or not. But you have many times before. That's why you're here now.
Mhm.
Because anyone who's here in the world right now, if you go out in the world and just look around the world, look at the other 7 or 9 billion people that there are, they have all been to heaven. They all had to return for one reason, because they didn't fulfill their purpose enough. Because we're
Mhm.
all here to fulfill a purpose. And that purpose is very simple in this world. Your purpose, my purpose, everyone's purpose is the same exact thing. It is not you becoming a lawyer or a basketball player or a doctor. You can fulfill your purpose within that task, but fulfilling the purpose is you are here to help people just for the sake of helping, not because you it's going to make you money or going to make you more famous. You should do it because you can, because you should, because we are able to. Someone's going to come up to you and say, "Jacob, I'm lost. Can you help me find my way?"
Mhm.
And it's up to you to use your free will to decide whether or not you're going to do that. And you could be one of those people that says, "You know what? I hate people. I don't care about people. I'm not going to help them." And that's fine. If that's the choice that you made, no problem. What that will do is put you on the alternative path, and that will just bring you back here again. Or you can help that person. You can show them where they need to go. And you could do that throughout your life. And if you do it enough, then you will get to eventually the ultimate goal, which is not having to come back again. Because there are many who don't have to come back again. Your spirit guides that are with you now, that are with everybody, don't have to come back again because they fulfilled their purpose. And being a soul, being that loving soul that has let go of their pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, all that mess that we have learned here, likes to do good things and wants to help.
Mhm.
So they ask to come back and help. And we could do that too. Once you learn your purpose, you can come back and help if you want to, or you can just go do other things in heaven, because heaven is not like what we think it is. That's just a name for it. That's just a branding that we gave it. Heaven's 100,000 times better than you can ever imagine it is. It's just you're not meant to know what it is about right now, because if it is, if you did know that stuff, if you did remember what it was like to be back in heaven, you wouldn't be able to function here doing what you're supposed to
Yeah.
be, which is learning your lessons, fulfilling your purpose. If heaven were a glass wall, you would be banging on that wall trying to get a hold of your relatives and your friends who have passed away. What would you not be doing? You would not be living the life that you are supposed to live.
Well, yeah, and it's like this place sucks,
But
like
does it?
Earth.
Yeah, you get to do some cool things. You
Yeah,
People
for
play
sure.
video games, and you get to go skiing, and you get to
Yeah.
go horseback riding, or you get to go water skiing. You get to ride motorcycles like I do. You get to do
Yeah.
something. But here's the thing: if life was meant to be easy, what would be the point of living?
Yes,
Because if
exactly.
it was meant to be easy, you wouldn't appreciate anything. But what we do
Totally.
need to understand as well is having respect for one another, and 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 having respect for each other now. Don't wait till
Mhm.
you have to go to someone's funeral to pay respects for them. Pay respect to them while they are living. Don't wait till
Mhm.
that other point, because what we need to understand in this world is there are two basic rules in this world. And as long as you understand these rules and you comprehend these rules, you will appreciate your life and the lives of the others around you. And rule number one is people die every day. And rule number two is you can't change rule number one. It's
I
just
like
going to
that.
happen,
That's
because
a good rule.
no one lives to be 150 years old. You
Yeah.
just don't. Reason being, if you don't get it right this time, you'll just come back again. Pretty
Mhm.
simple. But it doesn't make a difference how you die. We all just die. No
Mhm.
one dies suddenly. No one dies too soon. No one dies tragically. It doesn't make a difference if you get hit by a car, fall off the top of a building, get a debilitating disease, get COVID, or even commit suicide. The reason you are dying is because for one reason. It's because your soul is being called back to where it came from. That is it. And when it is your time to go, it just is. Let it go. But everything else is just a facilitation in order for that body to pass away. Why does someone commit suicide? You hear about it all the time. People say it all the time. They write letters about it all the time. I feel like I don't belong here. I just don't belong here. Why do they feel like they don't belong here? Because their soul has taken over to let them know it is time to leave. And in order to leave, it has to make the body do something to get out of here. So
Mhm.
sometimes it is suicide. But what the other side of it is they don't pay attention to is because they don't think it's the same thing, but it is the same thing. If your soul says it's time to get out of here, your soul may say, hey, Jacob, you know what? Let's get up and go to the mall today. So you get up and go to the mall today and you get in your car and you get into a car accident and you die from a crash. Is that suicide as well? But they don't see it like that. Because why? Because they don't understand the truth of life and death.
Mhm.
Why don't we understand that truth? Because we've been taught differently by the people who do have power and control over us.
Have you ever considered suicide? I mean, I can imagine you sit in your room and seeing all the demons and stuff, and the green. If I saw green mist come out of my walls, I'd be like, "Damn! Like, I don't know if I can handle this anymore."
It freaked me out, that's for sure.
Mhm.
It scared me in the very beginning until afterwards, once I realized that for me, these these red energies, because they are red,
Mhm.
these negative energies, that's all they are. All they are people or other beings that were just crappy people, and they
Mhm.
decided to be crappy people. You have a choice to be a good person or a crappy person. It's
Totally.
always up to you. And if you choose to be a crappy person, what usually happens is throughout by the end of your life, you see that light and it's time to go. Being a crappy person, being a person who gossips all the time or thinks they can be nasty and mean to other people, they feel as though that gives them a sense of power. And when they get to that point where it's time to leave and go through that light, they don't want to let go of that sense of power. So they remain here as an earthbound negative energy. But in order for them to live where they are, they have to have more negative energy to keep their energy level going. So they will come through into this realm and they will find someone who is being a piece of shit and hang themselves around them and then attach themselves to them and then gather that negative energy off of them while giving them some more at the same time. So to keep that going all the time, and that will keep that vicious circle going so that thing can continue to live where it is.
Totally.
And,
I
and,
really
and,
like that.
and that other person doesn't even realize it. And then when it's time for them to pass away because they chose not to change themselves into a good person, most
Mm.
likely they will not cross over either. But some of them do, and some of them don't. Because as many people that do cross over into light, there's that many who don't. So if there's a gazillion of them that cross over, I see them all the time. I'm able to look into that realm in meditation, or if I'm in a completely dark black room, I can see in there.
Mhm.
There's no structure. There is no buildings. There's no trees. There is land, and I see people walking around, gazillions of them walking around. They are interacting with each other. There's nothing to do. And if you consider that as hell, yeah, maybe. But is there an actual place called hell? Is it being burned or tortured? No, there's nobody there with horns and a tail. The people who want to have power control of you, the ones who want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it and give them 10%, are going to try to convince you into this so that you will live your life the way they want you to live it and give them 10%. And they will do anything and say anything that they need to do to make sure that you do that. And that's why we think there's a place called hell. But I cross spirit over every day, and I see no place called hell. I see
Mm.
nothing. I just see these spirit walking around, just all droned around, looking at each other. I can tell you what I do see them do there. I see them making out all the time. I see them. If you would think, oh, with spirit, you can't do that stuff. They do it all the time. They're not just making out. They are going downtown. They are having at it. Sometimes I see so many of them going at it. It's like watching a big giant spirit orgy, and I'm not invited. Why am I not invited? Because I'm just not there yet. But do I
Hmm.
want to be earthbound? No, because here, if there's a negative person around you here, you can walk away. You don't have to listen to them. It's like a
Yeah.
singer and an audience member. If they're going to continue to sing, you don't have to listen to them sing. You can just walk away and they'll have to go find somebody else. Where in the earthbound side of the spirit realm, there's many, many more of them, and it's much harder to get away from them because
Well,
they are trying to get energy off of you as well because you decided to be there.
yeah, I like what that makes. I like that a lot because, one of the things that you have total control over, you don't get to choose, where you're born, who you are, what you
Actually,
like
you
to
do.
do, but
Actually, you do.
you just get to choose like either to be a good person or not at the end of the
You
day.
can. Yes, you can choose to be a good person or not, but you actually do choose the body you are going into.
Okay.
You don't choose the family because you come back into the same family circle all the time. Uh, but what that means as well is when you come back into the family, you may come back as the mom, you may come back as the dad, you may come back as the brother or the sister or the uncle or the aunt, but you're always coming back into the same family circle every time. So don't bother with the ancestry.com or the 23andMe because the person that you're looking up from 100 years ago that similarly looks like you is you
Hmm.
because you keep coming back over and over and over again. Most people that I do reads for, let me ask them real quick because I'm going to ask them a question. And you have been here, Jacob, 27 times. You've had 26 other lifetimes that you've been here, meaning you've had 26 other names, you've had 26 other sets of parents, 26 different brothers and sisters, 26 different astrological signs, which means absolutely nothing because that is bullshit.
Okay.
And you've had 27, you've had a total of 20, you're on number 27, 27 lifetimes, which means you didn't fulfill your purpose enough. That's why, because that's why you're here. And then again,
Uh-huh.
so you have to, what you're doing is you're what I call you're punching your dance card, and you have to do it enough times to when you go back again, they will tell you you either have to go back again, or they at that point, if you don't have to go back, they will ask you if you want to go back. But believe me, you want to get it right this time because the next lifetime that you would have to come into, you don't want to be here for
Hmm.
because it's
So how
going
do
to
I
get
get it
real.
right?
When people come up to you and ask for your help, help them. It's
Hmm.
that simple. Why is it that simple? God made it that simple so that everyone could complete it. It's
Okay.
that so when they come up to you and say, "Hey, I'm lost," or "Can you help me?" or "Can you give me directions?" It's not about always like giving somebody money or because there are a lot of people in this world who believe if I give my daughter a whole bunch of money all the time, she's going to let me see her grandchildren. And what's actually going on is her daughter's just bleeding her for fucking money. You have to figure that out. You have to figure out which is are the right people to help and which ones are the not the right people to help. That's all part of it too. Because they say that God helps those that help themselves. Well, not really. God already helped you once. He wants us to figure out the rest. God
Hmm.
bless you. No, no. Do you know where the actual term God bless you came from? God bless you came from a long time ago, right after Jesus, at the time of Jesus, and it was when people were sneezing. And at
Yeah.
that time, when you would sneeze, people thought the demons were coming out of your body. So they would say, God bless you to keep more demons from going back into your body. But as we all know, people just kept sneezing.
Yeah.
They were so ridiculously uneducated back then. I mean, even the people who were known as prophets. Do you know why they were chosen as prophets? Because these were chosen by the kings and queens, people who were actually like musicians or poets. They called them prophets because they were actually born with an ability to do something like play a musical instrument that no one else could. And they named
Hmm.
them prophets. And again, these were the people who wrote the Bible. These are the ones who wrote the scriptures, the ones who were in control and power of everybody. Why did they do that? Again, so they could have like a basic book of this is the book of rules you have to follow. And that's why they did all that.
Hmm.
We just have to stand up and say, you know what? No, that's bullshit. I don't have to listen to you. I can take care of myself. That's why Jesus Christ came here. Jesus Christ did not die for your sins. He didn't die for anyone's sins because you, just like me, were created by God from a part of him, which makes your soul a divine soul. Divine souls don't do anything wrong. You don't do anything wrong. But what you do is live in a world that is based upon rules and laws created by those who control us. So Jesus Christ died for one thing, for being a free thinker, for telling everybody else in the world, trying to gather them together to let them know we don't have to live under their rule. We don't have to live under their power. We could all live together. We could take care of each other. We could share everything in the world because there's enough of everything in the world for every person in this world. And we could do this all the time. And we could be together without having living under rule and somebody being a leader. We could just all take care of each other. But the people who were in control of him, religion, they scooped him up off that street. They put him on that cross. He was not the first to be on that cross, and he wasn't the last. And they tortured the shit out of him, and they murdered him in front of everybody else to make an example out of him, to show everybody, if you follow him, if you do what he says, if you do anything like he says, we will do this to you too. And how much control and power do they have over us? You still see people walking around with a cross on their neck. They are walking around with a form of punishment on their necks. They are not wanting you to wear that in remembrance of Jesus. They want you to wear it so you'll be reminded of how much control and power they have over you. Why would you walk around with a form of punishment around your neck?
That's a good thought. I've never considered that before. That's a really
Why
good thought.
would anybody do it?
Yeah.
But they have convinced us it's for something else.
Hmm.
But it's not. They always put that cross up with Jesus up in those churches. We're tortured him, we're going to torture you. That's what it's all about.
Hmm.
They want us to be reminded of that all the time, and they continue to do it all the time. That book is about power and control. 10 Commandments. You can't tell me that's not about power and control. 10 Commandments. God doesn't
Yeah.
need to command you. Why does he? It's a he's. They say he's a merciful God, but you should also fear him. He's your father, but you should also fear him. But he's also merciful. Well,
Yeah.
which one is he? Is he merciful, or should you fear
Yeah.
him? They also talk about, they have so many contradictions, Jacob. It's unbelievable. They talk about the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. And I always catch them on this one, and they can never answer me about it. Because every time I try, they can never answer me. And I
Hmm.
say, Father, yes. Son, yes. But Holy Ghost, no. And they say, why? And I say, because on like 6 or 7 on the page of the Bible, it says not to talk to mediums, correct? And not to talk to
Yeah.
me because I talk to spirit. And they say, yes. And I say, okay, if I can't talk to spirit, who is it in your organization who can talk to spirit? And they say, no one. I said, well, you keep talking about the Holy Ghost and you keep saying that people are listening to him and talking to people and they're talking back to him, correct? And they go, but, and I go, yeah, correct. But, and they go, and I go, yeah. So somebody in your organization must be very special because they're allowed to talk to the Holy Ghost. Yet you say no one is allowed to talk to spirits and
Yeah.
don't speak to mediums. So who is it that is talking to him? And they can't answer that. Do you know
So
why? Because it's bullshit. That's
yeah.
why.
No, I love it. You're totally not I love what you're saying. That I love it. Um, what is it like to be a medium though? What's your step by step on doing a reading and hearing things?
Everybody wants the cool part of it.
Hmm.
No one wants to do the work of it. The work
Okay.
of it is I have to meditate a lot. I have to keep myself of clear mind and clear body, as I can do this as much as I can. You'll see I don't have any tattoos because they don't want me to have any tattoos. And
Hmm.
when you leave here and you cross over into heaven, no one has tattoos. That's
Hmm.
of the body. That is of not of the soul. But they want me to be able to be clear mind and clear body and clear soul to be able to hear and receive clear messages. And I have to do a lot of work to do that. I have to meditate a lot. I have to I have to exercise a lot and keep my body strong all the time. I have difficulty with that because I am diabetic. So I have to keep a certain type of diet. I have to make sure
Hmm.
that I'm able to get these messages all the time. I am on all the time. When I say that I'm in communication with them, I'm in communication to the point where when I found out I was in communication with them all the time, driving down the street in my car, I get touched on my face for different angels. Okay. And they touch me in different places. And I know who they are. Like I said, I know what they are and I know what they do for me. And I know what they look like too. And they don't look like men with wings. I get touched on my face. When it's a no answer, I feel like a tear is running down the left side of my eye.
Yeah.
When it's a yes answer, I get touched in different places from my forehead because I am being touched by different angels at that time. I have one that touches me across the top of my right eyebrow. His name is Raphael. I have another one that touches me across the left side of my other eyebrow. His name is Manos. Manos in Greek means God is with us. On my
Mhm.
left temple is Gabriel. Down the side of my left ear is another Raphael. Right above Gabriel on this part of my forehead is Uriel. Above him is Michael. Over here on the top of my head is Helen. It feels like somebody's rubbing my head. Like I can feel the hair follicles moving. Right down below her is a man named Paul. Right down below him at the crown of my hair is Ezekiel. Right down the middle of my forehead is Jesus Christ. Over on this side of my forehead, on the right hand side, he is not the devil. He's an angel with a bad rap. His name is Lucifer. I have
Yeah.
another one that touches me over here on my right temple. His name is Nicholas. I have another one that touches me um, on my right eyelid. His name is John the Baptist. I have another one that touches me over here across my eye and goes up to the center of the bridge of my nose. His name is Jacob. I have another one that touches me here that pinches my eyelid or on my eyebrow. His name is Daniel. I have another one. It feels like something's dripping down the front of my head. That one just came in 3 days ago. His name is Ansel.
Mhm.
And then I have another one that touches me right here on my eyelid, right on the eyelash right there. And I've only been touched by it 5 times, and that is the big God. So when I get answers for things, whenever I ask a question, sometimes they will put a question into my mind. I will ask the
Yeah.
question and they immediately answer it for me that fast, just like that. So I ask a question, I ask it, and I got a touch on my face. Doesn't make a difference who's touching me. It's always yes, no matter what. And where is it coming from? Well, they are archangels. They are the right hand of God. So whenever I'm asking a question for anyone, you're getting an answer from God. And then but they are the ones who are answering for him. And then if I get a no answer, it's always one answer for no. It feels like a tear running down my face. But not only that, but my own thoughts are no longer even mine. My thoughts have now changed to the point where I'm only about 25% me, and everything else that's coming in, 75% is them, and it's constantly changing. It started out like 80-20, 80% me and 20% them. Now it's 75% them and 25% me, and it's actually moving up, and it'll eventually be 90% them and 10% me. I'm losing me all the time. I'm losing my short-term memory all the time. But I know it's for something that's more important than me. So I'm okay with it because I chose to do this. Um, it is a choice. You get to make that choice. But being me every day is not always easy because there's always people who want to try me. They love doing that. I do a live show and they want to try me on there. I had a woman come on there one time and she said, "I want to talk about my dead brother." And but the first question I always do, Jacob, is when they start saying something to me, I ask Spirit, "Are they telling me the truth?" And when I said that, they said no. And she said, "I want to ask." I said, "Well, I can't answer that question." She said, "But I thought you're the medium. You're so high and mighty. Why can't you answer the question?" I said, "Because you're lying to me." And she said, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "Your brother's not dead. You're asking me an untruth question." And that's why. Because why? Because you're trying to trick me. And then I went into the whole spiel. I know why you're trying to trick me because you're trying to make me look like a fool and everybody else. And then eventually, by the time I got done, I scrolled down in the comments. She said, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." And everybody else in the room was like, "Get out of here. He's the real deal, and you're trying to make him." And I said, "I'm not a fraud because you're trying to make me look like a fraud. But I just called you on a lie, and I know you were lying, correct?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, get out of my room,"
Mhm.
because I can always tell when someone's lying to me. Always. I
Mhm.
have I'm an instant lie detector. But with that, as I always say, with great power comes great responsibility. I had someone ask me yesterday on a live show that I was doing, why am I not helping this family of this person who went missing, this Gabby
Yeah.
girl? Because that's not my thing to do. Because my thing is to teach the world to get to a better place, to get to a better reality, to get to a better, simpler way of life. Because if we got to a simpler way of life, we wouldn't have as many murders and robberies and rapes and all that. I'm trying to do the big picture, because if I help them once, the one thing I am doing at that point is I'm putting myself at risk, because I know if I help her or I help that family and I point the finger at somebody and something goes oddly wrong, then who do you think that person who I pointed the finger at is going to go after next?
Yeah. No, you're totally right.
So I don't do it.
How do we fix our world? How do we big picture fix the world?
Everybody needs to come together. At this point, everybody needs to stand up and tell the government you're fired,
You're fired.
because the government doesn't work. Because as
Uh-huh.
we all know, as we can see right in front of our eyes, the party system does not work. One
Hmm.
side hates them because they're red, and the other side hates them because they're blue. And they get nothing done.
Hmm.
Nothing. And they are not helping us, but they sure are helping themselves, because for some reason now all politicians are millionaires, and all politicians get to have free health care, and all politicians get paid for the rest of their lives, and all politicians get to do whatever they want and say whatever they want, and they can get away with it. Yet we can't.
Yeah,
So what we need to
totally.
do is stand up and tell them, you're done, get out, and we need to start over. But that's not really going to happen in a good way.
No.
If it does happen at all, it's going to be bad, because people are going to go against the government, and then they're going to try to kick them out, and then they're going to fight against each other to find out who's going to reign next. And that's what's going to happen. And it's
I've
coming
uh,
soon.
I've been saying that we should start another counterculture like the hippie movement, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's what our generation needs right now is another one of those.
Yeah. We need something different, because what we have right now isn't working. And it has not
Hmm.
been working for a very long time. It hasn't been working since it started. The people who started it in the first place were also the people who were in control of us, the ones who had the money, the ones who were the slave owners. I mean, do you notice that I don't like to call people out for this, but all the people who are complaining about slavery and all that stuff, they don't go after the big things as far as slavery.
Hmm.
We still have the Olympics. Do you know what the Olympics were based on? They were based on games that were performed by slaves to be entertainment for the kings and queens.
Yeah.
And yet we still have the Olympics, but you don't see anybody protesting about that. And
No.
now it's about first it was COVID, but now it's no longer COVID. Now it's about if you don't have the vaccine. Now they're
Hmm.
pitting us against each other, because if you don't have a vaccination card, it's no longer a pandemic. They're calling it the pandemic of the unvaccinated, which means they are going to pit us against each other. It's us against them. And the government is just going to stand back and let it happen and watch it happen, as we are amongst each other, fighting amongst each other in the streets because some person got a vaccination and another one didn't. But not everybody gets the vaccine for the flu shot, do they?
Mm-mm.
Not everybody takes cold medicine when they catch a cold, do they? It's about freedom
No.
of choice.
Not everyone washes their hands.
No, they don't. Not everybody puts their hand over their mouth when they cough or sneeze. They
Yeah.
never did, because we've been here for over what, 4 or 5 thousand years. Yet all of a sudden, we're going to start wearing a mask, because I know about 60 or 70 years ago, they were blowing up bombs in the desert, testing nuclear bombs, and they tested over 180 of them, but no one wore a mask then. So why are we wearing a mask now?
Yeah.
Because it's about power and control. That's why.
Yeah. As a as an old timer, what do you
I'm
how do you
54. I'll go with
fif-
that.
54? I guess that's not that old.
I'm
You just
well. I feel pretty old. I got into a works accident about 12 years ago, and I had a pallet of
Uh-huh.
frozen chicken fall on top of me. So I have a fused back and screws in my back. So I feel pretty old, but I'm about to turn 55, but I feel like I'm 105. But I'll go with
Yeah.
old time. Go right ahead.
What do you think's the biggest problem with my generation?
Lack of respect for anyone else.
Hmm.
They don't have
Totally.
respect for authority. They don't have respect for adults. They don't have respect for the police. They don't have respect for anybody. They don't even have respect enough for each other. When you
No,
have 15
you're
or
totally
20 of
right.
you sitting around, you have 15 or 20 of you sitting around and no one's talking to each other because they're all staring into a phone.
Hmm.
And there's no communication there. How do I know there's no communication? Because when somebody your age gets angry at somebody else, instead of trying to work out the problem, they go get a gun and shoot you because
Hmm.
they can't handle it, because they've never been taught to handle it. And is that your fault? It is not your fault. You know whose fault it is? The parents who were taking care of you. Because
Hmm.
instead of having a communication with their children, they stuck a phone or they stuck a computer in front of your face. And then all you
Yeah.
did was play video games that taught you how to shoot and kill people and take
Hmm.
out your anger on video games. And then when you couldn't get your point across to somebody else in your age group, instead of trying to talk about it, like I said, or trying to work it out, you just go get a gun and shoot and kill them. They don't think about the ramifications of what's going to happen.
Well, we're such a disconnected, but yet
Yes,
most connected generation out there. Like
yes,
you,
because Facebook, because of
yeah,
Instagram, because of all that. This is social media, but there's a lack of socialness within it. Because we're not really, we can do everything together from a separate space, and that doesn't make
yeah,
any sense. When I was a
no,
kid, we went outside and played games with each other, and would play kick the can or kickball or do all that stuff together and play baseball and do everything together. You don't see them doing that anymore because they just don't, because they just choose not to. And because they choose not to, there is no social interaction. They don't know how to. Uh, and what they also need to teach children these days is teach them to be good people, because they're not
mhm,
doing that as well either. You're gonna train your dog, but they don't train their kids,
yeah,
and then the kids grow up thinking they should be entitled to everything. Nowadays, they want to go to work at McDonald's and Taco Bell and get $15 an hour. Well, they're getting it now, but you know what they're not getting? They're not getting 40 hours a week. They just talk themselves out of getting actual health care and good pay and good vacation because they wanted a high price for doing nothing.
hmm,
When I was a kid, I mean, we didn't have cell phones, but when I was a kid, you didn't stand there and just do nothing. I just went to a McDonald's with my wife the other day, and the girl didn't even know how to run the register. The one thing she did know how to do was flip her hair around and try to look pretty in front of all the other guys. I told her what I wanted, and she got it wrong 3 times. I said,
yeah,
I want a double cheeseburger without lettuce and without onions. And she said, without tomatoes and without ketchup. I said, without lettuce, without onions. She said, okay, that's one double cheeseburger without tomatoes and without ketchup. I said, without lettuce, without onions. Take that hair away from your ears and listen to what I am telling you. And you know what
yeah,
I got? I got a sandwich with onions and lettuce with ketchup. Yeah, that's what I got. You got it wrong again. They don't listen. They don't pay
yeah,
attention, and they can't comprehend anything. Why? Because they're thinking about what's going on Facebook and what's going on Instagram and what are the Kardashians doing? Who cares what the Kardashians are doing? What are they
well,
doing except just getting your attention? They are misdirecting you from what else is going on in the world. That's what they are doing.
exactly. I think that our for me, for my generation, there's so much distractions around from the big picture things and just to who you are. You get distracted of your problems that you have with yourself and other people because it's easy to just grab my phone and enter into another world and not worry about what my problems are, who I
Yes.
am, what's my purpose. I can see what Kim Kardashian's doing, what she's up to, what's her purpose, or her, just live another life instead of living my own life.
Right. Absolutely. Because they just can't figure it out.
Hmm.
Because they're all worried about, they all say that they don't know where they can fit in. Well, here's the thing. You can fit in anywhere you want to.
Hmm.
You just have to want to do it. If you want to go sit with a bunch of people who have suits on, go and do that. They
Yeah.
can't tell you any different. You can just tell them, hey, you know what? I'm just like you. I put my pants on every day the same way you do. I put my shirt on every day. I eat breakfast the same way every day. I wipe my ass just like you do.
Yeah.
Why can't I fit in here? And then but you have to find out and have to figure out for yourself where you do fit in. And if you don't feel comfortable fitting in there, don't feel comfortable fitting in, and go find your people. But
Hmm.
waiting for them to show up is just not going to happen. But
Yeah.
then telling everybody else, I'm so alone, I don't have anybody. You are never alone. You have spirit guides who are around you all the time trying to help you make decisions. But if you're
Hmm.
continuously talking yourself out of these decisions, whose fault is that? That's not theirs. That is yours.
Yeah.
But the reason you feel that way is because you haven't been told or you haven't been taught to have faith in yourself.
Yeah. So,
The only way you're
well,
going to
you're
have faith
always
in
just,
yourself is you decide.
and for people my age, we're always comparing ourselves to Kim Kardashian, to
You don't
this,
need
to
to.
that.
You don't
Yeah.
need to compare yourself to anyone. You know why? Because you're absolutely good enough to do anything that you want in this life at any
Totally.
time. You just have to have faith in that. You don't
Totally.
have to listen to the rest of the world telling you you're a horrible person. If I don't care if it's your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your best friend, or your so-called best friend, because everyone has one of those, if they are not helping you in your life, if they're not lifting you up and trying to be a positive force, and then you vice versa with them, if they're not doing that for you, get rid of them.
Hmm.
Stop talking to them, because there's nothing in a book that says you have to talk to them. You don't have to talk to anybody you don't want to, especially if they're not being a positive force, especially if they're trying to bring you down all the time. The only reason they're bringing you down all the time is because they don't have a life. And it makes them feel good to do that. But you don't have to do that. You can just walk away and let it go. Because the only reason you would have these people in your life is because you allow them to be in your life. And the only reason they would come back in your life again is because you allowed them to do it. And you
Hmm.
can't complain about them bitching and moaning to you because you allowed them to come back into your life. Stand
Yeah.
your ground, get rid of them, and find your people. Pretty simple. But people don't want to do that. They would rather sit and stare at a phone all day long or stare at Facebook all day long, thinking those people are actually their friends, and then taking a thousand selfies all day long, waiting for someone to tell them how beautiful they are. If you are doing that, you have a self-esteem problem,
Hmm.
because at that point you are now like a drug addict. You're waiting to get that quick fix every 5 minutes. And if it doesn't happen, you're panicking. Stop panicking and think to yourself, you know what? I don't need this. I'm good enough. I'm okay. I can do what I want in this world. I just have to have faith in that. That's what
Yeah.
they need to do, but they don't. They have let the rest of the world convince them that they're not good enough. When are they going to stand up and stop listening to the rest of the world, try to brainwash them into thinking that? And that's what we all need to do. Stand up and say, no, I've had enough. Enough is enough. You're fired. It's time for you to go away. It's time for us to have a reset and start over. It's not
Hmm.
working.
No, that was beautiful. That was well orchestrated. I love it. Well, this is the part where I ask the
That's
podcast
me every day.
questions, but you nailed all pretty much all of them. I don't know if you listened to an episode that, yeah, I saw you
I
comment.
paid attention.
Yeah. Yeah, you pretty much got all of them. The only one we didn't touch on two of them. So let's talk about
Well,
your,
ask them.
yeah, let's hear your opinions on what do you think deja vu is?
Deja is a memory.
Hmm.
Deja vu is always a memory. They just want to call it deja vu because they don't want you to know that you've actually had a previous lifetime.
Yeah.
You may walk into a building, or it may not be the building itself. It may just be the space, and you were there in that space at another time. But deja vu is a memory. It's always a memory because you've been here so many times before. That's why I tell people don't mess with the ancestry.com and all that stuff. Oh, because I want to find out if I was African or if I was or Asian. You know, like I said, you've been here 26 other times. You're from all over the freaking world.
Hmm.
You are, as we are all the same. We all live on the same planet. No one's going anywhere anytime soon. So we better start to get along with each other before we annihilate each other. That's
Hmm.
what we need to do. You don't need to worry about your previous lives. Why? Because if your previous lives were so important, you would have fulfilled your purpose and you wouldn't be here now.
That's a good, I just watched a video before we started this podcast,
Was
and
it
it
a good one?
was, yeah, it was just that this guy was talking about when you like you got an hourglass, and when you're always looking into the past, you're always seeing the same thing, but you're ignoring the sand that's trickling down, that's
Absolutely.
passing away, right?
And life
Like
is passing you by.
yeah, he said life doesn't care if you're still stuck in the past. It's still gonna
No.
pass you by. It's still, the sand's still gonna go.
And I'll tell you why you don't want to worry about your past. So, say if you were going to go and apply for a job today,
Mhm.
and you said, how old are you right now, Jacob?
I am 20 years old.
Good for you. So you
Thank you.
go apply for a job and you say, okay, this is the things that I have going on, and this is great, and here you go, and here's my application. And they look at you and they go, awesome, you got a lot going on here. It's pretty good, Jacob. But you know what? I see this thing you did here where you teased a little Tommy back when you were 8 years old.
Hmm.
Nah, we're not going to hire you.
Yeah.
And you tell them, but I'm not 8 years old anymore.
Yeah.
I'm 20. And you say, well, you're the one that sits around and worries about your past all the time. And if you're going to worry about it, we're going to add that into your application and we're not going to
Yeah,
hire you.
I like that. That's really
Why
good.
should
I've
you
never
not
heard
worry
that
about it?
before.
Because you're not, again, you're not 8 years old anymore. You
Yeah.
don't do the same things as you did when you're 8 years old. You don't perceive everything or anything like you did when you were 8 years old. You've grown up, you've grown past it. It's gone now. Let it go. Because
Yeah.
why? It's not important. You've
Hmm.
moved on. You're no longer that person anymore. So why are you holding on to it still?
No, you're totally right. I love that. That's a really good way of putting it. Um, what do you think karma is? Do you think karma exists?
Uh, Karma is more or less the same thing. Like I said earlier, when you put it out, you get it back. What
Yeah.
you're doing is when you're putting negativity out, you're just getting negativity right back. That's all it
Hmm.
is. And everything is based about positive and negative. If you put positive energy out and you're always being positive, you'll notice that positive things happen to you. I will explain this to you in a story. You're going to find this interesting.
Okay.
Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so I'm always telling people when you get a good feeling, when you get these gut feelings inside of you, you listen to them and then you follow through. So there was a day that my wife and I were out. Okay. Now there's a little bit of a crazy ending to this that may be for someone else, but it turned out great for me. Why?
Hmm.
Because we listened and followed through. My wife and I went out one day thrifting. She bought a bicycle, and I told her, if you're going to buy a bicycle, I'll buy a bicycle too, so we can go out and ride our bikes and get in shape. As a matter of fact, when I get done with this interview, I'm going to go out and ride my bicycle. And it's the bicycle I have now that it's in the story.
Isn't it like
So,
10 p.m. over there though?
oh yeah, but I don't care because I ride around and I always have a gun on my hip, so I don't care.
Okay.
So
Fair
anyway,
enough.
yeah, I because I have concealed carry and that's what I do because I used to work in prison and I was out motorcycle one day and I had a guy honking his horn and flashing his lights at me and he was
Mm.
following me around and I got to my mom's house to visit. When I turned around, there he was. And when I said I worked in prison, this was a guy who was a recently released inmate who was out on from the charges he had of a rapist and a sex offender, and it was the sex offender of someone under the age of 12 years old. And he approached me and said I was going to help. He said, you're going to come with me and help me figure out my life. And I told him at that point, you're going to leave right now. And if you don't, I'm going to kick your ass in front of your two friends. And I told his two friends, don't even try to get out of your car because you'll never make it out of this place alive. And then at
Yeah.
that point, he left. And then when I had to report it back to the work, they told me that you should try to get something to protect yourself. And I said, you think I should get a gun? He said, absolutely. I had to talk to the warden, and I talked to a guy in prison who was a guard, and he did classes, and I went and got myself concealed carry, and I do that now because I see lots of dead people, but I can't
Mhm.
control the live ones because the live ones are
Yeah.
crazy. So I'm out with my wife, and I said, I'll get a bike too. And so what we did is I went online and looked and tried to find a bicycle, and I wanted a blue one. So I found this one real cool bicycle. It looked like a motorcycle, it had ape hangers on it and these cool aluminum wheels. I was like, this is pretty cool, but I don't want it. It was expensive. It was like $250. I don't want that. I want the $50 cheap bike that's blue, because that's what I want. I don't want to pay $250 for a bike. So I find a blue bike. Next day we go out, we get $200 out of the bank. We go to Walmart, we spend $100 in groceries. We have $100 left. We could have used our credit cards, but yeah, whatever. We had $100 in cash. We go over to the bikes. There's no blue bike. There's a red bike, but I don't want a red bike because I like blue. Why
Hmm.
do I like blue? Because in my natural vision, if you look at your wall is white, correct?
Yeah, it's white.
Well, not to me, because in my
Hmm.
natural vision, since accepting my gift, I see your wall is white, and because blue is the color of energy, and I see energy all day long. I see, and even if I look at the brown shelves, they are blue and brown. Everything has blue. When I look up at the sky at night time, I don't even see the stars. They're gone. I haven't seen the stars in 3 years. I see the moon and a blue black sky, and I see spirit everywhere. It's
Hmm.
just what I see. So I wanted a blue bike. I said, I want this blue bike. So I said, you know what? We're going to go visit my mom. Well, after that, we'll go to the next Walmart. We go visit my mom. We go to the next Walmart. My wife looks it up online. She says, they have a bike. I said, awesome. We'll go in. We'll go get it. We go in, no blue bike. The blue bike is on a red bike. And I said, damn it. So I said to my wife, you know what? I'm just getting tired. Let's go home. And she said, no, we have to go to the next one up in this town called Dover. And I said, I don't. She said, honey, you know how you're always telling people that if they get these gut feelings to pay attention to them because that's their spirit guides telling them things? I said, yes. She says, I'm getting that right now. We need to go to this Walmart right now. I said, okay. So we get in the car. We go. Walk into Walmart. We're walking down the aisle, and in the middle of the aisle, not even close to the bikes, is that cool bike that I saw online.
Hmm.
So I run down there, but not really because I'm old as shit. So I hobble my ass down there. I jump on the bike and I'm riding the bicycle around the store, going around the aisles and shit like that, and almost hitting people, but I don't give a shit because it's cool as shit. And I'm riding
Yeah.
it around. And she says to me, comes over and she says, do you want to buy that bike? And I said, can we? She said, yeah, we'll just get it. I'll just use my credit card. And I said, okay. So we rolled the bike over to the counter. She said, the lady says, there's no tag on it. I said, yeah. She said, well, I'll get the price check done. She said, are you going to get a helmet? And I said, I guess so. We walked back over to the bikes. And I said to my wife, you know, it'd be cool. They had a helmet with like little spikes on it to make it look like I have a mohawk. And she picked
Yeah.
one up. She picked one up and she said, you mean like this? And I said, yeah, but it's red. Do they have any black ones? She said, yeah, here's a black one with these ghost little skulls on it. I said, awesome. And it's got little spikes on it. So it looks like I
Yeah.
have a $25. We bring it up to the counter and then they come back over, they check the bike out and they said, everything's cool. And I said, here, let's check the price on it. She pulls out the gun. She goes, ding. She looks at me and she says, that'll be $49, sir. And I said, what? And she said, it'll be $49, sir. And I looked at my wife and she looked at me. I can't believe what's going on because I know when I looked up that bike online, it's $250.
Yeah.
But Jake, because we followed through and listened to what they were telling us, I just let it happen. And she said, do you want the bike or not? And I can't pull that money out of my pocket fast enough. And I get it out and I give her the $100 and she gives me $26 back because of the change. And then I put it in my pocket. She gives me the receipt. I shove it in my pocket. I said, let's go, honey. We're walking out of the store. We're trying to get out of our store as fast as we can
Yeah.
because I
Totally.
feel like I'm ripping them off, but I want to
Yeah.
get the fuck out of here because I want to take my bike with me. And I'm walking through the store and people are walking past me going, hey man, that's a cool bike. Like, yeah, get out of my way. And I get to the store. We open, we get through the doors, we go out to the parking lot. I pull out the receipt again. I look at it, it says $49. We're opening the car door. We're trying to get the bike in the back. I can't get it in. She's got to help me. We're closed the back door. We look at each other. We jump in the car. We're like those two people in the IKEA commercial where they're saying, start the car. Let's start the car. Get out of here. Let's go. And we get in the car. We take off down the road. We get home. We pull off home. We open the door. We pop out the bike. We put it in the driveway. I take a picture of it because it's cool. I go in the house. I look up that store in that area, and I look up in their inventory, and they just sold one bike, and the bike price was $250. But because we listened to the message and the signs that my wife was getting, and I got it for $49. Had we not listened to those signs, had we not paid attention and followed through with it, I would have just went home and waited for another $50 blue bike to show up. But we didn't. We followed through. We listened, followed through, and I came home with a $250 bike for $49. Now, someone at that store is probably getting their ass reamed out for selling a $250 bike for 49 bucks. But you know what? I made out okay. Why? Because they were looking out for me. They let us know this is where we need to go and go get it. And I got it. Now, when I get done this interview and I go ride my bicycle, I'm riding that cool bike with the ape hangers on it. Looks like a motorcycle.
I love it.
Because I
Well,
paid attention.
yeah. Well, yeah, totally with that. It's like whatever you want to call it, intuition, gut feeling, whatever. It's just another sense we have. You know, we
Absolutely.
don't ever question what we're smelling, what we taste, what we hear, what we see. We just
Right.
know it because we just know it.
Right.
It's been
You
ingrained
know what
into
else we
us.
don't
So,
question? I'll tell you what
huh?
else we don't question. If you put your two hands together and you cup them together,
Yeah.
look inside your hands. Do you see love? Do you see hate? Do you see jealousy? Do you see anger? Do you see pain? I don't. Do you see any of that?
No, I see my hands.
But you know what you do?
Huh?
Even though you can't see it, you make decisions based on it every single day of your life.
Yeah.
People want proof, but you can't see that proof, but you make decisions based on what you feel. That's
Uh-huh.
your proof. People
I
want proof
like
of
that.
God. That's your proof, but they
Damn, that
can't
was deep.
understand
That was really good. That was beautiful.
it. Again,
So,
all the information that I get, I don't read any books. I don't
yeah.
watch movies and TVs and get this. Everything that I know and everything that we have talked about today, I know because Spirit has told me.
Yeah. So can I ask you, can you do a reading, a
What do you
live
want to know?
reading of me? I don't
Go right
know.
ahead. Ask me a
What are
question. What do you want to know about?
what are I guess just what are the spirits saying about this interview?
Well, with me, you have to actually ask a direct question
Okay.
because that's the way it works for me. It works different.
Um,
And that's the thing about mediums. We all have an ability, but everyone, it works differently for each person.
what about aliens? Are aliens real?
Do you want me to tell you the correlation between aliens and angels?
Sure. Let's hear it.
Because that's what they are. Because
Uh-huh.
that's what archangels are. What do archangels look like? Like I said, they don't look like men with wings.
Uh-huh.
Ones that I have seen, most of them, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel, Ezekiel, they look like a praying mantis.
Mm-hmm.
I see them in my room, my bedroom, every single night of my life. I see them right now as I'm talking to you, except in the light, I don't see that. I see these little things flickering next to me all the time. They look like little petals. If you've ever seen anyone smoking a cigarette and the smoke comes off in little petals and billows off of
Yeah.
that, that's what I see right now as I'm talking to you. But as
Mm-hmm.
if I'm in a dark room, or when I go to sleep, or if I'm doing my meditation in a dark room, or even if I look into a dark TV that I don't like to do all the time, I see people walking around, but I see archangels and they look like praying mantises. And one of them I've seen looks like an owl. And some of them I see, they look humanoid, but they are not human.
Mm-hmm.
Archangel Michael does not look like a man with a shield and a sword. He looks like a variation of a moose. He has a wider head. He has eyes that are up in front that are a little bit further apart. They look like wolf eyes. They're not blue. They're more of a brownish red. He has a long body that looks like has like a, almost like a horse, but has a real fine hair, and he has big floppy ears. But that's what he looks like. Uh, but yes, most of the other ones, they look like praying mantises. What are they? They are beings of a higher consciousness that no longer need to be have it in a body. They've evolved from that. They are what we consider aliens. And why are they aliens? Because they're just alien to us.
Yeah.
We know other aliens as well, but they live in Mexico.
Oh man.
Correct? Because as we all know, throughout this world, there are many people in this world who we would consider monsters or something else. Why? Because they look different than we do.
Yeah.
Aliens just look different than we do because that's what they look like, where they come from. But are there aliens? Yes, because we were not born of Adam and Eve, or if some people prefer Adam and Steve. We were born of them. And why
Uh-huh.
do their ships keep showing up here all the time? Because they are coming here to check on our progress and see how we're doing. Because they know we are not doing well.
Yeah.
They don't
You
want
got that
us
right.
to be, they don't want us to be killing each other. They want us to be taking care of each other. But, that's how people are because they think they have to have wars in the name of God. God doesn't want us to have a war. God wants us to take care of each other.
Yeah.
God doesn't want you to worship him. He just wants you to have love him and have faith in him, but love and have faith in each other as well. That's what he wants. And that's what they want us to do too. They want us to take care of each other, which is not doing very good. That's why they're coming back here to check on us. There has been incidents before where they have shut down the facilities that were housing nuclear weapons. Why
Mhm.
did they shut them down? To let them know we're not going to let you guys set those things off because if you do, you're going to kill each other. They want us
Yeah.
to get rid of they want us to get rid of nuclear plants because that's going to do the same thing.
Hmm.
We just can't see that because all we want to do is try to get more and more technology. Our technology is going to kill us, and they don't want that for us. But they will be coming back
Hmm.
very soon,
When? What do you think? How soon?
within the next 7 years.
Okay.
Because before this COVID came, I'm also able to do what's called channeling.
Hmm.
And I can channel with other mediums and I can channel with my wife, who's an empath. And we were told 2.5 years prior to COVID coming that a virus was coming and the
Hmm.
first stock market crash. So as I was out doing readings at these different festivals, I was telling some people that I thought could handle it. And when it came, because I was telling them how to prepare and what to do, telling them to make sure they had plenty of food and water, to make sure they had plenty of toilet paper.
Hmm.
Toilet paper. I was telling them
Yeah.
everything to do. Make sure you have plenty of guns and ammo. Why? Because now we have an ammo shortage. We don't have an ammo shortage. How do you keep people from shooting guns? You make sure they don't have any ammo. That's how
Hmm.
they do. So I was telling people to do all this stuff, and then it happened. And then after it happened, I got 20 messages from people that said, I'm so glad we listened to you because you got everything right. And then I got 20 more messages from people that said, I wish I would have listened to you because we thought you were crazy. And I said, I'm not crazy. I said,
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. Are you going to listen to me now? Because when I say something's coming, it's coming.
So what's your seven? Let's do a timeline. What's coming up for us?
Because
What do we got prepared for?
because COVID, we were told that COVID was not going to be a 6 month deal. We
Hmm.
were told that COVID was going to last for 7 years. And within that 7 years, that was what we would call spiritually influenced. There was
Hmm.
another spiritually influenced thing that happened as well. We just call it 9/11.
Hmm.
What was the intent of that? Yes, lots of people died, but you know what? Everybody dies every way, and some people go to heaven and some people don't. So all those people either chose to go to heaven or not. But guess what? They're all still going to die at some point in their lives anyway. They just happened to die then because it was just their time to go. That's all. But why did that event happen? To hopefully change the world. And it did for a moment. For a few weeks, people were being nice to each other, and
Mm-hmm.
then they stopped. Just like with COVID. When that came, they were being nice to each other. Everyone was going around and praising everybody who worked in hospitals and firemen and police. But you know who else they were praising? Everybody who worked at Walmart. And you know what they've
Yeah.
done since then? They stopped again.
Oh man, it's worse now. It's way
It's
worse. Right
worse
now,
now.
it's the worst ever, in my opinion.
And we thought, I'm telling you, what's coming next is way worse than it's ever been now. What's coming next is going to be coming in the end of 2022 into 2023. If you think those riots were bad, you wait to see what happens with this. Because
Uh-huh.
like I said, they are pitting ourselves against ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen is eventually we're going to be fighting in the streets. It may not be full out civil war, but it will be factions of people fighting against other people because they're making it happen, because they're pushing this agenda. You got some states are saying yes, and some states are saying no. And if you want to get into my state, you have to have a form to show that you can get in here. Or if you want to get into a restaurant, you have to have show something of a form so you can get in here. But then some places are doing it and some places are not. And then eventually it's going to turn out to be like Black Friday at the Walmart every day of the week, everywhere else. People are going to be fighting in the streets amongst each other, and the government's just going to sit back and watch it happen. Because how do you do the dirty work? You let us do the dirty work for
Yeah,
you.
that's true.
That's
That's
what's
very
going to happen.
true.
It's coming. It's on our way. So
Oh
ask
man,
a
I
question. What do you want to know? What do you want to know about yourself?
uh
Is there a particular job that you want to get? Because you can give me two jobs that you'd like to get, and I could tell you which one you're actually going to get.
so sure. Let's ask this. What do you think is gonna which out of the two jobs what's gonna work? Me becoming an artist or the podcast working out?
You enjoy doing the podcasting, but art is where your heart is. It always
Mhm.
has been. Art's been in your heart ever since you were a kid because you're just good at it. Because some people are who want to draw and want to be able to have that talent, but for you, as they tell me, it just came naturally. You didn't have to work hard at it. You can just do it. Not everybody can. Do you know why you
Mhm.
can just do it? Because they gave you the ability to do it. And they gave you the ability to do it in a fashion that's so good that people are going to admire it. So you can actually add that into doing your podcasting, which is probably what you're going to do anyway, because you're going to do some artwork for yourself instead of having to outsource it from somebody else, which makes it easier for you to do what you want to do anyway. Is the podcasting going to go anywhere? Well, it could go somewhere if you want it to go somewhere, but as we know, there's a million of them out there. But is everybody a great artist? No, but you can be. I mean, you're already pretty freaking good. I haven't even seen a picture
Yeah.
you've made, but I already know you are good at it. And you know the same too, because
Yeah.
you know I'm not lying. Correct?
No, it's pretty accurate. That was pretty accurate
You know
what
how
you
I know
said.
that?
How?
Because I'm the fucking medium, that's how. And they're
Yeah,
talking
I
to me.
love it. I love it. I love it. That was great.
They're touching me on my face and saying art is the way to go.
We should get
Podcasting,
that on a
okay, but
t-shirt.
art is the way to go.
You got to get that on a t-shirt. I'm the fucking medium.
I thought about making a T-shirt that said, "I'm not an extra large, I'm a medium."
That's good. That's
Isn't
good.
that pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's really
Eh,
good.
Or get another one that says, "Got spirit, spirit medium Daniel."
Nice. I love it. I love it.
I do a podcast called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, where we talk about spirit and but we also talk about supernatural stuff and metaphysics stuff, tarot cards, all that
Mhm.
stuff. But we also
Ooh, I
talk.
like tarot cards. Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt you.
I actually have an episode that we
Uh-huh.
released already through that. That I had a girl in there who does tarot cards, and she explains tarot cards, which is a good thing, so
Yeah.
people can be interested in it. And she explains those and like oracle cards and stuff like that.
No,
And
every time I've done tarot cards, they've been They've been pretty accurate. Last time I did it, it was spot on. It was scary how spot on it was, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's a reading for you. How spot on it was for me.
Hmm.
So I'm doing a book, and I wrote this in my book. Uh, so I did a reading for this couple over in Annapolis, Maryland, and they kept walking past my table, and I said, "You're going to have a seat and do a reading," and they said, "Well, we're trying to make up our mind." And I told them, "Okay, no problem. I'll see you back in an hour." And an hour later, they showed up, and they said, "How'd you know I was going to come back in an hour?" I said, "Because I'm the medium. That's how." And so they sit down next to me, and I said, "Okay, who wants to do the reading?" It's the husband and wife, and she said, "I'll do it." And I said, "Okay." I'm letting my 20-pound cat out of the room, and
Okay.
so so yeah, he's big. So I said, "All right, let me see your hand. Let me hold your hand. I want to see who's here with you." And she said, "Okay." So I held her hand, and I said, "Okay, let me close my eyes." Close my eyes, and she says, "What do you see?" And I said, "Well, I see something kind of odd." I said, "What's with the horses?" And she says, "What do you mean with the horses?" And her husband says, "Yeah, what do you mean with horses?" I said, "I see a horse here." And I said, "It's not just a regular horse, it's like a mid-sized horse. And he's kind of brown and white, like a cow would look like a patchy brown and white." I said, "But what's strange about your horse is your horse doesn't have a regular mane that goes across the top of his head. It looks like it has a blonde wig on his head. Like
Hmm.
somebody took a wig and stuck it on its head, cut holes in the ears for the ears and stuck the ears through, but it's wearing a blonde wig on its head." And they said, "That's strange." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "But then it keeps walking, shows me a stall. It walks out of the stall, comes around, and puts its head on your right shoulder." And as I said that, her husband pulls out his phone and starts going through his phone. And he's looking for something. I figure he's just fucking with his phone because he's not listening, because nobody usually does. And I
Hmm.
said, "So he walks around and comes up and he's putting his head on your shoulder. And then the horse is telling me that you're its mommy." She says, "What do you mean he's telling you it's his mommy?" I said, "He's talking to me." She says, "How is he talking to you?" I said, "When spirit talks to me, whoever is talking to me, it comes through his English. And he's telling me that you're its mommy."
Hmm.
I said, "So what's up with that?" And then when I say that, the husband gets done and he stops the phone and he points it to me and he said, "Is this the horse you're talking about?" And I said, "Yeah, that's the horse. What's with the wig on his head?" And they said, "We had a portrait done of a horse. And the guy who did the portrait, he painted the picture, and this was his depiction of the horse. And we asked him about that wig too. And he said, this is how I saw the horse." And I said, "That's fucked up looking." And they said, "Yeah, we don't like the picture. We don't like it so much that we don't even post it. We don't even have it in our home. We
Hmm.
have it sitting in a closet because we don't like the picture." And they said, we're really pissed off at this guy too. And I said, "Why are you pissed off?" She said, "Because we paid $4,000 for this picture of this horse." I said, "I'd be super angry. I'd be trying to get my money back." And he said, "Well, they told him that he could do the picture however he wanted to, and this is how he did it." And I said,
Hmm.
"Okay." I said, uh, "So what about the horse coming out of the stall?" And she said, "Every morning I would go out and feed the horses. And when I would go out to the barn, I would open the stall door and the horse would come out of the stall. He'd come up and he'd come around and he would put his head on my right shoulder, just like
Hmm.
you said." And I said, "Yeah." And then they started to cry. And I said, "What's wrong?" And they said, "Our horse just died 2 weeks ago." And I looked at them and I said, "I can't make this shit up."
I can't make this shit up. That should be
And
on your
they
t-shirt
they
too.
they stood up and they gave me the biggest hug I'd ever seen I felt in
Yeah.
my entire life, because I connected with them. And at that point, I mean, the reading was over, but after that, I was booked for the rest of the day because there was like 10 people standing around. They were all listening to the story. Everybody was standing there with their mouth open and they were all
Hmm.
crying because, again, I can't make this shit up. I
Yeah.
just what I see.
I got another curious thought of
Sure.
what do you think dreams are? Because like the last night I had a really scary dream. And so I'm kind of
Did you
curious
know
on what
you
you
can never get judged in your dreams?
uh-huh.
The reason you don't get judged in your dreams is because you don't get judged in heaven.
Mm,
Because when you're dreaming, you're as close as to heaven as you're ever going to get in your entire life. Because what happens is your soul rises up out of your body. It's still tethered to your body, but it rises up out of your body. That's why when we have dreams of people who have passed away, they're actually connecting with you at that moment.
mm-hmm,
If you ever have a dream of anyone who's ever passed away and you want to see that person again, all you have to do is wake yourself up. Because when they are connecting with your soul, that means that they're standing right next to you in the
mm-hmm,
same room wherever you are sleeping. So if you want to see them, wake yourself up. I guarantee that you will see them.
mm-hmm.
But what happens in our lives, because when you are dreaming at that point, it's just like meditation, you're in that lucid state. Your mind is clear, but sometimes things come into our mind, they stay there. And if there's something that happened to you that you thought maybe have been traumatic in your day or in your week, it will come into your dream and then anesthetize at that point into something else. That's all. But
Like, yeah,
you could be in control of your dreams. You just have to practice, in especially lucid dreaming, so you can be in control. My wife has very vivid dreams all the time. She actually wakes up from her dreams thinking as though she is here, but it feels to her like she just did live another lifetime.
yeah. So let me ask you about my dream that I had last night. So like
We,
basically I've been wanting to go like to Europe, right? And do a backpacking trip on Europe. And to summarize my dream, there's a lot of details and like
I'm going
who
to
it
tell you what you
was,
need to do. You actually
but
do need to go.
uh-huh.
They're telling me, as you said, you want to do that. They're telling me, yes, you do need to go. But if you're going to go, Jacob, you need to go right now. You
Mm.
can't wait. Because
But
if you
the
wait at least another 6 months, you're not going to be able to go
why not?
because it's not going to be safe enough for you to go.
Uh-huh. Well, that's what like kind of what happened in the dream is the person in my dream was like, if you go off and live a life like that, you will die. That's what
If you
they
wait
said.
too long, that's what
Uh-huh.
they're trying to tell you. Sure. That's why I'm telling you, if you're going to go, you better go now
Uh-huh.
because eventually it's not going to be safe enough for you to go. You won't, if you wait 6 months, you won't make it back.
Mm.
So if you're going
It's
to do
deep.
it, go do it now.
I can't though. I gotta wait for my passport.
How long does that take?
It takes like 4 months.
Oh my God. Well, you, like I
Yeah.
said, in 6 months, you think you can get through Europe in 2 months? You better go.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting thought. I
Again,
believe it though. I believe it
again,
because like our world is just so it's just spiraling so far down, you
absolutely.
know?
It's not going in a good place. We're
Yeah.
not doing good. We're not taking care of each other. Most of the countries we think are our friends are not our friends. They hate us. I
Yeah.
mean, some people do like to travel. Me, I don't want to travel. A lot of these countries that they don't like us. They treat
Hmm.
us poorly. They take advantage of us. They know we are Americans and they will do anything they can to get all the money out of your pocket because you don't speak the language. So they'll
Hmm.
do it. So, me myself, I will stay put right here where I do know the language, where I understand the monetary issues, where I know if someone's actually trying to get one over on me. I can see that,
Hmm.
I can feel that, but to go somewhere else, I mean, people, what I understand, people thought it was okay to go have jobs in Afghanistan, but look where they're at now. Why would
Hmm.
you do that? Afghanistan has ISIS over there. It's a war-torn country. They don't like Americans. Why would you put yourself in that situation?
Because they're trying to fulfill the life purpose by helping other people.
Are but you have to help yourself first.
Uh-huh.
Just like these volcanoes that just went off in the Canary Islands. Someone said to me, "Should we pray for those people on the Canary Islands where those volcanoes are?" I said, "No," and they said, "Why not?" I said, "Because if you are that If you can't think clearly enough to know, don't put a house on the side of a freaking volcano, then no, I'm not going to pray for you because you're dumb enough to put a house on the side of a volcano. I don't care if it hasn't opened up in a million years. There's a possibility that it will, and it
Yeah.
did. Why would you go live out in the Midwest where they're always having tornadoes? Why would you live in the middle of the desert where there is no water?
There's
Think
always danger. There's danger everywhere.
there
You can't
is
escape
danger
it.
everywhere, but out in the Midwest, there's always tornadoes.
Hmm.
It destroys the homes, they rebuild them, and a tornado comes back, destroys them again.
Hmm.
If you're going to continue to put yourself in that danger, in imminent danger all the time, where you know these things are going to happen, you're signing your own death warrant. Why
Hmm.
would you do that? If you're intelligent enough to make these decisions, then make better decisions. Make
Hmm.
decisions that are going to work for you, because there's only two things in this world. There is no mistakes. There is no right and wrong. There is no epic failures. There's only two things. There's only two things you're ever going to make decisions for. And those two things are what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, quit fucking doing it. It's very simple. But
Hmm.
people just can't seem to do that because, again, they can't seem to learn lessons. They can't seem to figure it out. They can't seem that every time they go out with a guy, this guy kicks their ass, and then this guy kicks their ass, and then this guy kicks their ass. Why? Well, you're the one who keeps going out with the bad boy. Quit going out with the bad boy and find a good guy. It's that simple, but they can't see that.
Hmm.
They're talking about this Gabby girl and about how her boyfriend is a scumbag, and they've known he is a scumbag for a long time, and he's a real piece of shit. Well, obviously, she found him attractive. No one's blaming her for dating him, but this is also could be her issue as well, because this is the person she chose to be with.
Yeah.
So
It's
if you chose to be with this guy and you know he's a piece of shit, why are we just blaming him?
yeah.
No, no one's putting any blame on her for making bad decisions. No one ever does. They just want to blame one person. Why? Because in this world, it's all about putting the blame on something or someone.
Hmm.
That's all. That's all they want to do.
Totally. Well, I think we gotta we covered a lot. I think we covered a lot. Is there anything you'd like
Okay. I
to
think we did okay.
Oh, I guess the last thing I'd like to ask, and then
Go
you
ahead.
should plug all your stuff that you have, books, podcasts, whatever.
Try
But
not to
there,
plug my ass because that doesn't work too well.
that's funny. The last thing I always like to ask is, for anyone that's listening that's going through a hard time or just is going through a rough patch, what advice would you give anyone overall? Just overall, any advice?
No one is ever alone.
Hmm.
Everyone has spirit guides to help them. But in order for them to get the help, they have to open their minds, they have to open their hearts, they have to be open to it. And then they have to listen and they have to follow through.
Hmm.
Stop talking yourself out of things, because when you do that, that's something you learn how to do by the people who want to have power and control over you, telling you that you're not good enough. You are good enough. You're absolutely good enough to do anything in this world that you want to do. All you have to want to do it and have faith in yourself enough to do it. Don't let anyone else ever tell you that you can't do it, because they don't know you. My mom and dad used to ask me all the time, why can't you be like your brother? Because I am not my brother. I don't perceive the same things as my brother does. I perceive the world differently. I have
Hmm.
to follow my path, my journey, and I have to do it my way. You can take advice from someone, but here's the thing about taking advice from someone. If you, Jacob, were an alcoholic and I was your friend, I would say, I will take you to meetings and I will keep you out away from alcohol and I will do all these things for you. But whatever I say and do is not going to matter unless you choose to stop drinking. So
Hmm.
until you choose to make good decisions in your life, no matter what I say or do, isn't going to make a difference, because everything you do ultimately comes down to your choice.
Hmm.
No one is pushing drugs into your mouth or into your arm. No one is making you drink alcohol. No one is making you smoke crack. If you're doing those things, it's because of your doing.
Mm-hmm.
An addiction is not a disease, it's a choice. Make better choices for you.
Mm-hmm.
Stop making excuses that everyone else is causing you to do these things, because ultimately, again, you are making the choice to do it. So if you want better things to happen to you, make better choices for you. Don't make them for someone else, because you have to live your life. No one else can do it for you.
Amen. I like that. Well, you want to share your podcast name, books, anywhere,
Sure.
anything you like?
Uh, Book's not out yet, but I am writing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a podcast called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, me, and you can find that at www.beyond-the-veil.com. Or I have another podcast we started a few weeks ago. It's called Dead End Stories. Why? Because dead is not the end. And it's an interactive show that people can call into, and they can tell me their stories or tell me their experiences that they're having with spirit, and I will decipher it for them. And or they can ask me any question they want to know about spirit, and I will answer it for them. Because our thing is we bring light to the end of the road and back, because I answer all the unanswered questions for anyone. And that's on Facebook every Monday night at 8 p.m. on Facebook. Just look up Dead End Stories. And it's hosted by me, Spirit Medium Daniel, and my co-host, Extra Large Mike. You got it?
Extra
So
large mic.
yeah, he came up with that. But we have that show, and then you can also find me on Facebook at Spirit Medium Daniel. You can find me on my regular Spirit Medium Daniel page at www.spiritmediumdaniel.com, and you can book a reading with me. Or if you feel that as though you have an ability as well and you're sure, you can book a phone call with me, and I will let you know right on the spot if you do have an ability. And if you need a mentorship program, I'm offering one soon in October. If you need help with that to develop your abilities as well. And or you can also find me on YouTube for Beyond the Veil with Daniel
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, or with Spirit Medium Daniel on YouTube as well. And I have videos on there that I teach people about uh, why we're here, what our purpose is, and what is spirit, and how you can find them, and all that stuff. But my podcast you can also find on if you go on Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, Beyond the Veil, www.beyond-the-veil.com. There's icons on there, and you can either listen to my podcast or you can view it on YouTube. And that's it. Man, that
Oh,
was a lot.
well,
Holy shit.
thank you for your time, sir.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.